Mark your own. Who's my favorite student? Sadly, it's none of you. It's good old Ann. Ann Surkey. She gets everything right. Hasn't lost a mark in years. Did I tell you I Googled Ann Surkey and it looks like it's a cheating site for college students where they're uploading test answer keys and things like that? Yeah. Go figure. We're using the DFIC approach. What's the DFIC approach? And again, this is just to get you started. When in doubt, I write down what they want me to find with a question mark next to it. I list all my data, checking units as I go. And then I find a formula, insert and crunch. I've done the D part for you on this quiz. By the way, your next quiz is going to be like lesson 4, word problems, and you'll get that in a couple of days. No problem. Well, the equation that I'm going to use is VF equals VI plus AT. I want to get the T by itself. How am I going to get the T by itself? Claudia, how would I get the T by itself? What's going to drop down like a domino? Yes. Then what? Yep. Yep. I sensed you were getting this the other day. So it seems weird at first, but if you wrap your brain around it, so much better. So it's going to be VF 24.6 minus VI 3.2 all over 2.5. I have no idea what this is. Oh, Claudia, is this a fraction? Is there more than one thing on the top? I have to put the top in brackets, or if you have the fancy fraction button. I don't need to put the bottom in brackets. 8.56. Oh, last step, Claudia, units. Good. If you got that, I would give you 2 out of 2. Each one of these is worth 2 marks. Otherwise, for this whole quiz, I would give you a half mark if you found the original equation, a half mark if you rewrote it successfully, a half mark for sticking in the numbers, and a half mark for getting the right answer. In other words, if you can just get the correct equation, you already got 1 out of 2. Question?
If you go straight to the rewritten equation, is that okay as well?
Did you get the right answer?
Yeah.
Then you get 2 out of 2. That's why I always say if you got the right answer, you get 2 out of 2. And if you go straight to the rewritten equation, that's our goal by the end of this week, I hope. And if you can get there sooner, great. Yeah. I will say, on a quiz or a test, I always show more work than in my homework. And so on a quiz or a test, I will always show the step where I plug in the numbers and where I always show these 3 for sure. Because the number of times, for example, I've made a typo on my calculator and I've caught it when I've looked and noticed that I had different things on my calculator compared to what I wrote. Number 2, I'm looking for an equation that's got a VI, an A, a T, and a D in it. Jonah, there is one. Which one? A T squared. I got to get the D by, oh, it already is. So this time you'll get not just a half mark for finding the original equation, but you get the extra half mark because you got the D by itself already. Hey, bonus. Now I'm going to plug in the numbers. It's going to be negative 8.5. I guess we started out going backwards. T, 19, plus 0.5 times 8, but we're accelerating forwards. 19 squared. This one's interesting. We started out going backwards. I might end up behind from where I started with a negative displacement, or maybe I'll end up with a positive displacement because we are accelerating forwards. Maybe we came to a stop, turned around, and started speeding up going forwards for long enough that we went past the starting line and ended up in front of the starting line. I don't know. Negative 8.5 times 19 plus 0.5 times 2.5 times 19 squared. Oh yeah, we ended up in front of where we started. If you wrote 289.75 full credit, I tend to go to 3 sig figs. 3 sig figs, I would round to this 9. Is that 9 going to stay a 9 or become a 0? So I would write in my answer key probably 290 meters. If you have the wrong units or missing units, by the way, I always take a half mark off. So this time it would be 1 mark for that, half mark for the numbers, half mark for the answer. Should you ever leave a question blank then? Like even if you can find the equation, I'll give you credit for that. Especially by the end of the year when you've learned so much more physics. Yeah, you'll have to be, oh, this isn't forces, this isn't special relativity, this isn't momentum, it's kinematics. Oh, there's a cough. Sophie, which equation am I looking for in number 3? The same one, d equals VIT plus a half AT squared. But now I want to get the VI by itself. Well, the D is going to drop down like a domino, kathunk. I'm going to minus 0.5 AT squared. Shouldn't you divide by T? It's reverse BEDMAS. I do my adding and subtracting first. Then I'll divide by T. That equals VI. So it's going to end up being negative 70. What's that negative 70 mean? I guess we started 70 meters behind from the start line. We started back there somewhere. Minus 0.5, negative 4.8, 24 squared, and we're accelerating backwards, divided by 24. I have no idea what our initial velocity is. Sorry, I said we started 70 meters behind from where we started. No, we ended up 70 meters behind from where we started. That's our displacement. Negative 70 minus 0.5 times negative 4.8, we're accelerating backwards. Whoop. Times, whoa. Here, pen. Click, click. 24 squared. Close off the top. I better double check for typos there because I had a bunch of glitches with my pen. That looks good. Divided by 24. Did y'all get 54.7? Units, meters per second. Same as before. Half mark. Half mark. Half mark. Half mark. How many of you are 6 out of 6 so far? Well done. Okay? Good. You're coming along nicely. I got a VF, a VI, an A, and a D. I think this one, is it VF squared equals VI squared plus 2AD? I think so. I want to get the VF by itself. Is it? Not quite. I have a VF squared by itself. Ooh, Zaina, how to get rid of a squared? Yes, sorry, I thought you were zoning out for a second. You're back? I'm awake now, Mr. Dick. Thank you. Square root of 28 squared plus 2 times 9.8 times 152. You can do this in one step. Often for a complicated square root like this with a bunch of stuff, I often will type what's inside the square root, hit equals, and then go square root answer button. If you have the fancy schmancy fraction button, you probably have a square root button that does an extension. Is it right, or have I made a typo? I see people looking at me weird. 28, oh, you know what? I made a typo. Mallory, you're right. You know what I typed instead of a 2? A 12. This is why it's so helpful to have a good calculator. Most of your calculators will let you go back a line or 2 or 3. This one lets me go back 30 lines, actually. And some of yours will let you go back quite a ways. So you can always check for typos. Let's try that again. Mallory, is 61.3 a better answer? Okay. Anytime you want to give me the stink eye, go right ahead. Units, meters per second. Again, half mark for the original equation, half mark for the square root, half mark for the numbers, half mark for the answer. Enter the page. VF squared equals VI squared plus 2AD. Same equation, except now I'm going to get the A by itself. So I guess the VF squared drops down. Minus VI squared. And then Acacia divide by what? Almost. Yes. And I love the, oh yeah, if it's becoming obvious now to you that you've made a mistake, that's a good stage to be at. That equals A. So it's, oh, put an equal sign there, Mr. Duick. So it's going to be, you know what I noticed? VI is bigger than VF. We're slowing down. See the numbers? I'm expecting a negative acceleration because it's 22 squared minus 40 squared divided by 2 times 96. Do you get negative 5.81? Negative 5.81? And then the units for that are meters per second squared. These next couple were trickier. Number 6, I want to go D equals VIT plus a half AT squared. And I want to get the T by itself. I can't. The reason I can't, 2 T's. There's a T and a T squared. But Cole, what's VI as a number exactly in this question? What's 0 times 5 in your head? What's 0 times 10 in your head? What's 0 times T in your head? It turns out for this specific situation, that'll vanish if VI is 0. And this is the only one that I can ask you right now to get the T by itself for. D is going to be AT squared over 2. Cohen, you can put the 1 in there for the 1/2 if you want to. I'm lazy. I'm not going to bother. Now I can get the T by itself. Cole, how will I move the A over? What's the A doing to the T squared? So how would I move it over? You're right. I would probably just do that. Oh, how do I move this 2 over? Times? And that gives me T squared. T what? T squared. How do I get rid of a squared, my friend? I think so. So I end up with this. T equals the square root of 2D over A. So I would give you half mark for that, half mark if I saw that. Oh, plug in the numbers, Mr. Duick. T equals the square root of 2 times 240 all over 10. 2 times 240 divided by 10, square root, answer button. What's it going to be? 6 point something? 6.93 seconds. These last two were really challenging, and I deliberately did not necessarily give you ones like this elsewhere. This is me saying, okay, can you figure out this, how this has to work? So the equation that I want looks like it's D equals bracket VI plus VF times T over 2. And it looks like they want me to get the T by itself. Okay. I can do this, I think. Jada, what's going to drop down like a domino? The D? Do that first. Oh, change colors, Mr. Duick. What's the 2 doing to the T, Jada? So? What's the bracket doing to the T? So? Yeah, divide by the whole bracket. That equals T. It's going to be 2 times 2400 divided by 5.5 plus 20. It's going to be 2 times 24, oh, brackets around the top, divided by brackets around the bottom. And I get 188.2, 188. and that is seconds. Again, half mark for that, half mark for that, half mark for the numbers, half mark for the answer. VI, same equation. D equals bracket VI plus VF over T, times T over 2. Scott, where's the VI inside the, I'm looking for it that starts with the letter B. I'm going to do that last because reverse bad maths. Scott, what's this 2 doing to the bracket? Sorry, what's this T, too many words. What's this T doing to the bracket? I'll move it over. Yep, first thing I would do is that. You know what, instead of crossing out, I'll drop the D down like a domino. First thing I would do is this. What about this 2 here? What's it doing to the bracket? So I'll move it over. Yep. And this next line is where I've seen a number of kids make a mistake. Because now what we really have, I'll write it out, is this. The VI plus VF would drop down like a domino as well. How would I get the VI by itself? Scott, what's the VF doing to the VI? Adding, subtracting, multiplying, or dividing? So, yes. Here's what you'll end up with then. I'm going to erase this. The 2D over T is on the outside of the brackets. The minus VF drops down, but it's not inside the fraction. It's after the fraction on its own right there. That equals VI. It's going to be 2 times 120 all over 12 minus 24. I did that in my head. 120 divided by 12 is 10. It's going to be 20. Is it negative 4? Yeah. I'll even make it look impressive. I'll go to 3 sig figs. You don't have to. Again, if you got that 2 out of 2, otherwise, half mark for the original, half mark for the rewrite, half mark for the number, half mark for the answer. Can you give yourself a score, please, out of 16, out of 1/6? If you need to lawyer with me, now